So you probably have heard of this before. Finish up your food. Don't you know that there are starving children in Africa? The truth is, we do not have to think about the starving children in African countries in order to understand that food wasting, not only is it wrong, it is immoral. Here's the blunt fact. Americans waste an unfathomable amount of food yearly, and yet over 40 million of our residents are food insecure. Now, how can this be? Is food donation legal? The Bill Emerson Good Samaritan Act of 1996, signed to law by former President Bill Clinton, was created to encourage food donation to nonprofit organizations by minimizing liability.
And what it does is it serves as an umbrella law so that all states can be protected against criminal and civil liability when donating apparently wholesome food in good faith. And the reason why we like to stress apparently wholesome and in good faith is because those words are actually quoted in the law. And apparently wholesome really means if I would eat it, if I would serve it to a loved one, it is donatable. If I am donating it in good faith without any malicious intent, it is donatable under the Emerson Act.
It's not like the food industries in America are trigger happy when it comes to wasting food. Oftentimes, these places wish to donate but find themselves battling another obstacle, and that is distribution. And this is where a nonprofit rescuing leftover cuisine comes in the picture.
Or what we found happening over a long period of time was a lot of the venues and caterers were unable to donate the food because the nonprofit organizations weren't able to get an actual driver over there to pick it up. Very often, if you take some of the wonderful organizations that we have locally, like Boston Rescue Mission, Father Bill's, St. Francis House, they do need this food, but they can't always get a driver to physically pick up the food.
Rescuing leftover cuisine is like an Uber or the Lyft of food rescuing services, and it is highly dependent on volunteers, transporting food where it is to where food is needed. So how does it work?
We like to say that rescuing leftover cuisine bridges the gap between the prepared surplus food from restaurants, hotels, events, and those who need it at shelters, soup kitchens, etc., anywhere, any organization that is able to serve this nutritious food to those in need.
The organization carries two different types of operations, the emergency food pickups and the regular food pickups. Lauren is in charge of the Massachusetts regular food pickups, which volunteers can sign up using the online calendar.
To see the calendar, you just want to go out to volunteer, scroll down to event calendar right there, click on that. And my default came up as Massachusetts, but you can also change the default region right over here. And we have a number of different cities that are operating right now with RLC. And so this is a calendar right here, and as you hover over it, it tells you how many slots are left on a daily basis. So you can click right on the day that you want to volunteer. And here are all the events. And all you do is you click on one of those events, and to sign up, you just click on attend event, and it's as easy as that, all set.
For emergency pickup, it runs a little differently. In case of a food pickup,
any volunteer within a 4-mile radius of where the food is being donated will get a text saying, "We have food to donate, can you pick it up?" Our volunteers then have the option to claim or ignore the pickup.
What are these foods donated to food insecure? There are criteria when it comes to successful food donation.
Food safety is important to us, so we want to make sure that the food is fresh, that if it's frozen, it stays frozen the whole time it comes into our facility, and we're putting it directly in the freezer. And if it's refrigerated food, that it's within its expiration date, and that it's fresh to the smell and fresh to sight.
Western Waterfront Hotel is an example of an emergency food pickup. The Breakaway Courier is one of the largest delivery companies serving the greater Boston. Today, they are here to pick up an emergency food donation from the Western Waterfront Hotel to Rose's Place, a shelter for women.
So we have the box lunches from yesterday. This is a typical box lunch. We have a bag of potato chips, pasta salad, a cookie, and a roast beef and cheddar sandwich. All fresh, all less than 24 hours old. So box lunches, anytime we have anything left over, the guests don't claim it, we donate it all. And it's great for Rosie's Place too, because they love to individually wrap things in their pantry.
It's a good concept they have, which is they find the person or the organization going to donate the food, and then they find the place close to it to deliver to them. So each time the distance is not that far, so it's easy to do this kind of deliveries. So let's start. So now we're going to Rosie Place to donate the food that we just picked up from the Western. The distance is not that too far. I know we're gonna hit some traffic, especially on Harrison Ave. It's about 2.5 miles away from the Western. You see a homeless man in the cold, you know, in the richest country in the world, and he's looking for food and he's looking for money, you know. It's an older guy. I feel bad for this guy here, really. I see them all the time because I drive around the city and I see all this. Him bring this food inside. Thank you.
Rosie's Place has been in existence since 1974, and our very first day we served a meal. And that is still the signature service of Rosie's Place this 43 years later. Our food program has certainly grown. We serve 104,000 meals a year to women and their children. We also see another 1,900 women a month in our food pantry. So when we can have a food rescue service come and bring us good quality food that we can serve to our guests, either in the meals we prepare or in our pantry, or to the women staying in our overnight shelter, it really does make a difference.
When you meet a restaurant owner or somebody who works in a hotel in the food service, what's the first thing you tell them? How do you engage them? And what are their questions? What are the frequent questions you hear from them?
The first thing I say to them is the incredible need to use their nutritious food for the local food insecure people who can use it. That is the message that we really want to get across. Then the message that I get across with on behalf of Rescuing Leftover Cuisine is that we are an extending hand to the local nonprofits. We want Boston Rescue Mission to have this food. We want Rosie's Place to have this food. We want the Huntington YMCA to have this food. We are the people who can get that food to them, because often they are short-staffed and unable to actually get that food, although they have quite a population of people who need this food.
Who are these people in America in need of food aid today? According to Feed America, millions of people are still struggling to get by because of underemployment, stagnant wages, and rising cost of living. In fact, more than 46 million people still turn to Feeding America Network each year for extra help.
The food insecure person today, it is the person who is having mental issues or addiction, and those people are suffering and they need our help. It's also the people who are working every day to support their families, but unable to always make ends meet. And this food is helping those people as well. It's helping everybody. We all need to have a much clearer and open-minded vision of who the food insecure person is.
So we are going to be rescuing from, most of the food is salads and sandwiches. So it's just as simple as grabbing these and all these delicious, healthy salads, throwing them in the bag. I just want to say we just really want to thank Pret for donating all of this food to the shelters and to people in need. I mean, this is really incredible that Pret as an organization does this. And obviously, I think Dana had mentioned this as well, but we could not do this without our volunteers. and they're the ones who make this possible.
St. Francis House is a day shelter, so people who are sleeping in night shelters will come here during the day. And we offer refuge and pathways out of homelessness. The refuge piece is critical in that people need to come here during the day to get their human needs met. That's food, clothing, shelter. In addition to that, we have a lot of programs that help people get their way out of homelessness and into stability. But the food that is brought to us through Pret is really important. We're open from 6:30 in the morning until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We serve 700 meals a day. That's a day. That's breakfast and lunch. And the food that comes from Pret augments the food that we need to pay for. We have a budget of $200,000 a year for food, and we would not be able to offer these amazing salads that we're able to serve every day that Pret brings. We would not be able to give individuals a sandwich at 3 o'clock to take with them to hold them over because they are not getting another meal until either the next day or later that evening.
Apart from doing a noble thing, there are great financial incentives to food businesses choosing to donate their surplus foods instead of wasting them.
Just as of a few years ago, there are enhanced tax benefits. So it's actually going to save businesses money by donating surplus prepared food to your local nonprofits using Rescuing Leftover Cuisine. Rescuing Leftover Cuisine, we're able to then provide the documentation needed for their tax records. So all the business has to do is hand over that information to their accountant and they will be able to get the enhanced tax benefits.
Rescuing Leftover Cuisine has been hard at work growing their Massachusetts branch, starting with Greater Boston. And even though the company is looking to recruit more and more restaurants and food industries into participating, the number one goal at the moment is recruiting volunteers.
Our goal is to have at least 1,000 throughout Massachusetts. And I'd like to say at least 25% in Boston. We really need to grow the Boston area, the greater Boston area, and all of Massachusetts. Anybody can help. Yes, it is important for our incredible nonprofit organizations like Lovin' Spoonfuls to rescue those, all that fresh, nutritious food from our local grocery stores, etc. But it's also important to keep in mind the quality, nutritious, prepared food that is going to waste. But it doesn't need to be wasted. Rescuing Leftover Cuisine can make it so it's not wasted with your help, with the support of the community, with the support of the local businesses who are willing to partake, and really help us change our whole thought process about food donation and take food donation in Massachusetts to the next level. One thing that I would like to point out is the importance for courier services, limo services, taxi services. We need you. Do you deliver food? We need you. We really want to make this a community effort. We're starting in Boston, but we're spreading out all throughout Massachusetts. So if you're in Wareham, if you are anywhere on the Cape, Worcester, Springfield, Attleboro, no matter where you are in Massachusetts, we need your support. We need volunteers to make this happen.
So get up from the sidelines and start taking action today. Join the many who have said no to food wasting.
I will absolutely continue to do it in the future. It's worked out really well for us so far. We've donated over 1,500 pounds of food, and we've fed a lot of people with that food. We've donated in such a short amount of time. So I'm absolutely looking forward to doing it in the future.
Oh, the need is always there. As I said, we serve 120 or so guests a day, but we have to limit our guests to coming once per month. And that's just because of availability of donations.
For more information on how you can become a donor or a volunteer, please visit Rescuing Leftover Cuisine Massachusetts page online and see how you can stop food wasting, how you can end hunger today.